Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I finally got around to filming a tutorial using my Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I actually wasn't able to get this until they did the second restock, and even then I've had it for a few weeks now and I haven't really done anything other than swatch it and do kind of a neutral eye look for work. So I was really interested to try out some of these, beautiful, beautiful colors, obviously. Plus there are so many colors to choose from. I figured this is the perfect palette to use for one of my 2 looks 1 palette videos. So this is obviously the first look. So if you want to see how I got this look and the second look, then just keep watching. So as usual, I already have my lids primed with my Urban Decay Primer Potion, and now I'm going into the color MFEO with a fluffy brush and just using that to set down the color and start the transition. Next up, I'm using the same brush and going into the color Buns, and I'm just working that through the transition as well, just to start darkening it up a little bit. Next, going into the color Jax, going right back over that transition and the outer V. I'm just kind of layering the colors and warming everything up. Back into Buns just to make sure everything is nicely blended together. Now I'm using a more tapered blending brush, going back into that Jax color and really starting to focus on amping up some of the color in that outer V area. And again, working on the transition as well, just to make sure it's a little bit darker. And now I'm bringing that Jax color just a little bit farther onto my lid. Still kind of darkening up the outer V, but I wanted it a little bit further onto my lid, almost halfway. Now I'm taking an even more precise blending brush back into that Jax color and really just making a more defined V shape on that outer portion, because that's where I want the darkest part to be. Then whatever I have left over on my brush, I'm just sweeping that through the crease. And again, I'm working right in the socket because that's where I want the depth of the color to be. Now I'm taking a flat brush and some setting spray because I found that that's the best way to use these shimmer shades. And I'm going into the color Sissy, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous pink with like an iridescent gold shift to it. It's just beautiful. So I'm starting this kind of where that Jax color ended and basically packing this on the middle portion of the lid, and I'm going to kind of blend it out, but I don't want to go too high up. I'm mostly just putting it right there on the middle. Now I'm using a slightly smaller flat brush, and again I'm wetting it with setting spray, and I'm going into the shade Pool Party. So right now I'm just patting this color on the inner portion of the lid, kind of just going right up to where that Sissy color was and just a little bit on top of it, but I'm not doing anything to go too far over it. Now I'm just going back into that Sissy color just to blend the 2 shades together. Then I'm taking the color Obsessed and just placing that on the inner corner. And I wanted this to be a bit more blue, so I'm going over the top of it with a combination of Pool Party and Diva, and then tapping back into Obsessed to make sure it stays more pastel. Now I'm just taking a flat angled brush and spraying it with some setting spray, and I'm starting off with the color Jada and just running that along the lower lash line on the inner half. And then going into the color Jax and using that on the outer half. Then with a pencil brush, I'm going into the shade Hunts and just running that all along the lower lash line right underneath those 2 colors. And I wanted a bit more shimmer, so I'm taking Sissy again and putting that more on the center over the top of those colors, and then back into Pool Party right on that inner corner area. Now with the dry flat brush, I'm going into the shade In Light and just using it to highlight my brow bone. And then I went ahead and popped that on the inner corner a little bit closer to my nose. And now for liner, I'm just using my Tarte's double-ended liner just to create wings on both sides. So I went ahead and added some false lashes and some black liner into my waterline, and now I'm just using my Tarte Gifted mascara to blend my lashes together and put some on my lower lash line. For lips, I'm going into one of the Kat Von D liquid lipsticks. This is in the shade Lovesick. Then to top it off with some extra shine, I'm using one of the ColourPop Ultra Glossy Lips. This is the shade Tight Fit. Alright, and this is the finished first look. And now time for the second look. So I've got my lid prepped again with my Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I'm going to set it down with MFEO just like the first look. Next, I'm going into the shade Buns, and I'm starting to work that through the transition. And then using the shade Roxanne just to warm it up a bit more. And then I wanted a bit more of a yellow tone to the look, so I'm going into the shade Creamsicle, and I'm focusing this a little bit higher up, more onto the brow bone. Then going into the shade Butter, just to kind of blend those shades together. Now I'm using a more tapered blending brush back into Buns, and I'm just focusing this color right directly into the crease. Now I'm starting to bring it down onto the lid a bit more, and also onto the outer corner. Now I'm lightly dipping into the color Chip, and I'm using this to darken up that outer corner. And then with whatever's left, I'll kind of run it through the crease. Now I'm going into that same Chip color with a more precise blending brush and really starting to darken up the actual crease itself. And now I'm just starting to pat that Chip color on the inner and outer portion of my eyelid. Then I'm just going over it with a fluffy brush just to make sure everything's blended. I'm just taking a flat brush and using some setting spray to wet it, and I'm going into the shade 24/7. And I'm going to pat this on the lid on the inner and outer half to make a halo eye. And this color really needs to be patted in if you really want to get that sparkle that it has. And now I'm lightly sweeping a little bit of that 24/7 shade through the crease, but more onto the actual lid itself. I'm not going too high up onto the brow bone. So now I'm just taking a smaller flat brush and spraying it with some setting spray and going into the shade Obsessed. And this is just going to go right on the center of the lid where we left it blank. And again, just pat it on to make sure you get the most color. I'm also adding that Obsessed color into the inner corner for a highlight. Now I'm just going back in with that small tapered blending brush into the shade Chip just to make sure that the edges are nicely blended. For the lower lash line, I'm taking a flat angled brush and spraying it with some setting spray, and I'm just going right back into that 24/7 color. And I'm just going to put this all along the lash line on the inner half and the outer half, just leaving a little bit of space blank in the center. Then I'm dipping into that Obsessed shade and just popping that right on the center where I left that space blank just to mirror the upper half. Now taking a pencil brush, I'm going into the shade Creamsicle, and I'm running this all along the lower lash line right underneath the other two colors. And now with a fluffier brush, I'm going into the shade In Light just to highlight the brow bone. And I'm also kind of using it a little bit on the inner corner as well. Now for some wing liner, I'm just using my Tarte felt tip liner again just to do a nice wing. And then for the waterline, I'm using my Lottie London AM to PM black pencil. Now just adding some lashes. And then to blend that all together, just using the Tarte Gifted mascara for the upper lashes and the lower lashes. Now for lips, I'm using the color Cranberry Stiletto from Beauty Bakery. And here's the finished second look. Hope you enjoyed both looks. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you go. Thanks for watching.